Hey, so I hit a bit of a wall recently. A couple of weeks ago, I kind of felt like I was hitting the wall, but I was like in the process of hitting the wall. So I was like kind of feeling like my motivation was a bit not as high as it is normally, and I was just getting a bit tired, and I was like thinking about all of these thoughts about like I'm doing all this stuff and I'm doing all these things and I feel like I am doing what I should be doing and I'm not really getting anywhere, but I was still like keeping my energy high, right? I was still like motivated to actually do things like I normally do and stuff like that. And I was like, it's fine, this is just a little blip, like it's okay to have these thoughts, I'm on the right path, like I believe in myself, I've just got to acknowledge what I'm feeling, but then like push through it and it's all going to be fine. So then the week went on and I was doing my thing, everything was going great, still had the thoughts, but hey. Then last week, I hit the wall completely and just all the motivation, all the excitement, all the enthusiasm just left my body, my being, whatever. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I tried to do what I normally do, like, I'm applying to jobs and I'm writing a lot and I just couldn't. Like, I couldn't focus. I had like really bad writer's block. I was writing, but it was literally like trying to get blood from a stone. Like, it was awful. And I was just not feeling it mentally. I was just feeling really down. And I was like, you know what? I just need time to just do nothing and do things that I don't normally do and just not live my life on like a schedule or a routine, which don't get me wrong, I love routine and I need routine. I love every morning getting my little notebook out and writing out my to-do list. That is just the things that I love. But last week, I really needed to just not do that. I got out of the house a lot. Normally, I stay inside a lot every day and I just like work on my laptop all in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I have my own little routine where like I'll finish off my work and then I'll do like a workout and then I'll read stuff like that. But yeah, last week I was like, okay. I went for a lot of walks. I went shopping because I ran out of self care. Another thing as well that I just love is like self care and buying self care. I'm really conscious of consumerism and I don't want to overconsume and just waste money and buy things for the sake of it. But yeah, I ran out of like most of my self care. So I went self care shopping and that was great. Went out for coffee twice and just read my book in a little coffee shop, which was well needed because that gives me so much joy. And I felt like I just needed to do that for a little bit and just tune off. And yeah, I just walked loads, just moved my energy, just got out of the house. Because yeah, I was just like having all of these negative thoughts and all of this like basically what I was feeling like originally, but like times 1,000, which sucks. And I feel like I was just getting nowhere and my life was just going nowhere, even though I was trying all these things and staying consistent and doing what I felt like I was supposed to. And I often have this like thought, I kind of forget it and then like I remember it, I guess. But I always think, and it kind of makes me chuckle for some reason, but it's just this thing of like, I bet one of my life's themes is like slow and steady wins the race. I always feel like that. Like, I always look at other people and like my friends and stuff like that, and I know comparing is dangerous and it's bad and we shouldn't do it because we all have our own different life paths and there's not really a set way to do things and to live life, even though like, society has like a norm of like how things are done and how life is supposed to be lived. But yeah, I always have these moments where I'm like, everyone else seems so ahead or everyone else seems so quote on time and I feel like I'm just falling behind and I'm not achieving anything, and it can stress me out a lot of the time. And I always just think, you know what, I bet one of my life's themes is just slow and steady, because I felt like all my life has just been very slow, very chill, very calm, to the point where it feels like literally nothing is happening and I'm staying put all the time. Even though we're always growing, we're always changing, we're always moving forward. I'm a big believer in that, and sometimes I have to remind myself of that, because a lot of the time as well, I always feel like I'm just standing still, even though I'm trying to make changes, and I feel like I've grown and changed as a person internally. Outside, my surroundings and my life doesn't always match up to how I'm feeling. which can be really annoying, but I always think to myself, like, one day I'm going to look back. And I think hindsight is a beautiful thing. One day, I reckon I'm going to look back and be like, I'm so glad that everything was just so slow and calm. And I feel like as well, slow and steady just builds those stable foundations and like just paves a beautiful path. I feel like as an anxious girly, just rushing and trying to do things quickly is not the way to go. That's just me though, like sometimes, like 75 hard, for example. I feel like just doing things all at once and changing everything all at once wouldn't work for me. I'm definitely a girly that has to just be careful and slow and gentle with herself and like ease into these habits and build them up, which I have done a lot, so I'm proud of myself for that. But yeah, we're all different, and whatever works for you might not work for me and vice versa. I also feel like another one of my life's themes is just like patience, and again, just learning how to bring things in at the right time, learning how to persevere, and yeah, just build up those stable, sturdy foundations that will last. And yeah, I think for people like me, it is better to live slowly, more at ease. But I do have these wobble moments where I feel like I'm staying still, and no matter what, can't go forward, and I don't know how or why. It is so frustrating. I can't really tell you the answers or what to do when this happens. This is just my own personal experiences and what I did when this happened. I'm still kind of figuring it out. I think last week is what I needed, just a break from routine and what I normally do, and just like a break from everything and just getting outside and moving my body, moving my energy. I think that really helped as well. I think sometimes staying in the house can just be the worst thing, and I know that sucks to hear for my anxious girlies and guys and non-binary pals, but I was anxious last week as well. Like, I was very anxious. I feel like all of these doubts and feelings that I felt made me very exhausted and very anxious. But I still went out. I pushed myself outside my comfort zone, and I feel like I was rewarded because I love coffee. So that's one trick. If you want to just like bribe yourself with like a treat or something, or even just moving your body, like going out for a walk for like 10-20 minutes, you will feel 100 times better, I promise you. But yeah, I think as well, like I mentioned, the feelings of just like being so tired and exhausted of like this routine that I'm doing, and I'm putting work into it, and it's just nothing's happening. So I think I definitely just needed that rest, and I'm very thankful that I have the time and the resources to have that and to do that for myself. I know it's not as easy for others. It might not be as easy for you listening, but I think just finding little ways to change things up and just going outside, moving your energy, even just opening a window, getting fresh air, like be really grounding. I think I used to get into this trap of expecting immediate results, and this is also something that I have not grown out of. I guess I've learned not to do this, but I'm also still kind of, I would say I'm like at the end point of this particular lesson, perhaps. I think we build up certain habits, or at least I do in my own experience. So like journaling and meditation, etc., etc. They make me feel good, but the lack of change brings frustration because I expected big things to happen. And when these big things did not happen, I got very frustrated and I got very confused. I started to associate these feelings with the habit, which oftentimes led me to give up the habit. But then I would just feel worse for giving up the habit, right? So I would stop meditating, I would stop journaling, or whatever it is that made you feel good. And I would feel so awful. I would feel so disconnected, not only from like the world, the universe, whatever, but myself. I realized that like these habits actually did a lot of good, even if it was just mentally and emotionally. It kind of reminded me of like, I make these banana pancakes for my breakfast like every morning. They're really simple. It's just like mashed up banana and egg and flour. And I used to add in chocolate chips and cinnamon as well, because I love cinnamon. And I wouldn't really taste the cinnamon though. Like I would add in a bunch of cinnamon and not really taste the cinnamon. And I guess I kind of took the cinnamon for granted, right? So one day I'd run out of cinnamon. So obviously I just didn't put the cinnamon in my pancakes. And when I ate the pancake, they tasted so drastically different. And I've realised that, like, oh, while I couldn't taste the cinnamon and it wasn't overtly there, it actually made a big impact. And I really, really noticed it when the cinnamon wasn't there. So I guess I kind of took the cinnamon for granted, like, how meditation or journaling made me feel, even though at the time it didn't really make a huge impact on my outside environment. It obviously did a lot of good for me mentally and emotionally. Even though it didn't bring about this huge change that I was hoping for and looking for, it helped me feel good on the inside. And I think I was always trapped in cycles like this. Like, I would get really, really excited about starting a new habit or just a new lifestyle in general, and I would change everything in like one day. And I would get this burst of excitement and motivation from the change. And then I would end up taking this, excitement for granted and this thing for granted. Nothing much was really happening because it had only really been a week and I didn't really notice much. And then, I give up because I think, oh, this isn't really changing much. Nothing's happening. Oh, I can't be bothered because what's it giving me? Not really realizing that maybe I was about to hit gold. I think as well, striking gold doesn't have to be in this big, huge way. I think at least for me, I put a lot of pressure on like my outside circumstances and how people perceive me. And I need like this big, amazing physical proof that my life is amazing to prove that to other people that I'm okay and that my life is great. I think not a lot of people put a lot of weight on how you actually feel mentally and emotionally. And I think hitting gold can be sometimes like this big thing. Obviously, like I want, physical change in my life, but I think striking gold could sometimes just be the fact that I feel good and secure in myself and I love myself. And hey, maybe these habits or things that I'm doing, I am better off for them, just not in like the big, obvious way that I want them to be. I think the biggest thing that has changed my life is just keeping up with those habits. Like I said, I used to just like give them up after like a week or two. I think obviously staying consistent and persistent is difficult, especially when you hit that kind of wall where you're like, oh, nothing's happening, and you're complaining to yourself and you're like, well, what's the point? But I think just learning to keep those habits, to push through the slowness and appreciate how you feel when you do these and recognize that you are better off for them. I think as well, I just noticed, especially with like little habits, like, again, meditation and journaling, I realized that like it felt like my whole life was falling apart if I didn't journal and meditate. I felt so disconnected. And I think you just have to, in these moments, you just have to show yourself a bit of tough love and discipline and look at the bigger picture. And I think just like keeping up that habit and realizing that actually in the bigger picture it is going to get you somewhere. But I think personally why I hit a wall was slightly bigger things, I guess, that took up a bit more of my time and energy. I am a writer and have a lot of creative projects on the go right now. I love these projects. I love being creative. I love my mind. I feel like I have a lot of ideas right now. I've had more ideas recently than I think I've ever had in my life. They give me such a sense of purpose and joy. I feel very motivated 9 times out of 10. I believe in my ideas. I am proud of them. I believe that I'm like well intentioned of, putting these ideas into the world. I want to help people. I want to inspire people. I feel like I'm taking steps towards my own happiness and my dream life. And I'm very proud of myself and happy to be doing that. I'm also like trying to apply to jobs right now as well. But the puzzle pieces aren't really fitting together, or they don't feel like they're fitting together. I guess it's been like kind of a long time that I've been working on these projects and I'm not really feeling or getting any sort of, for lack of a better word, consequence from them just yet. And I think that was getting to me slightly in these past weeks. And again, I just needed that time away to sort of rest and connect to myself again. I also just feel like I have really like strong intuition, or at least gut feelings of like I'm meant to be doing this stuff and I feel proud of this stuff, but nothing's really happening. So like You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really seeing any proof of my beliefs. My faith is being tested, I feel like, in like everything right now. Which is another thing I'm proud of, I guess, through all of this, is that like I've always kind of believed in myself, which is something I wasn't always that good at. So yeah, I think everything is a learning curve. Obviously, we're gonna have wobble moments, but I've managed to just stay true to myself throughout this whole thing and believe in myself. So I'm writing a novel right now that probably, like I said, isn't going to come out for at least 4 or 5 years. The process can just feel really overwhelming and draining sometimes because it feels like I'm not really getting anywhere. Even though I love this idea, I'm really proud of the story that I'm writing, it can just feel like I'm getting nowhere sometimes. I'm also writing like drafts of articles that I want to post on a blog that I'm making in the future. Again, I'm really proud of them. They're like kind of like my experiences, kind of like this. And then I also write about fashion, which I love. But again, I haven't published them yet. I'm not really seeing any like outside validation. And sometimes doubts can come into my head, like what if people don't like them? What if people don't read them? What if I'm just wasting my time? And I have this podcast as well, which I love. I call it a podcast. To myself, just because I mean it kind of is, isn't it? You're just listening to me yap on, and I love it so much. I believe in what I'm talking about. I hope it helps people. It certainly helps me, like I mentioned in one of my other past videos, just like practicing using my voice and being open and helping people, but nobody really listens to it as of yet. And again, I have these moments where I'm like, what is the point of doing this? You know, nobody listens to my videos, nobody's reading my work, I'm applying to a lot of jobs. It can sometimes feel like I'm doing a lot, but I'm not really seeing any material rewards for it yet, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. And I do get so much joy from what I'm doing, don't get me wrong, I love what I'm doing, but it is very draining when nothing shows up for you. And that could be money, support, validation, acknowledgement. I feel like a lot of the time as well, like especially artists and like the starving artist, we're made to feel bad about wanting validation or acknowledgement or money. And it's easy to like compare yourself to other artists and start spiraling because nothing is showing up and nothing is happening. So, you know, you're like, oh gosh, why am I just bad and I'm doing everything wrong? Which I feel like is normal in your 20s. I'm in my early 20s and I feel like it's normal to just be spiraling and not know what to do with my life. I'm feeling very unsure. But also just in general, you don't have to be in your 20s. I feel like all throughout life, we're all just figuring it out every day. I don't know your position. I don't know if you're an artist or whatever you do, but you just may find yourself feeling like nobody's interested. Or maybe you are keeping quiet because you're working on a longer project and you don't really want anyone to find out, or you know, you can't maybe trust the people that you're surrounded by right now, which if that's the case, I'm so sorry. Maybe you feel like you're putting in a lot of effort but you're not getting anything out. Or maybe you just feel like you're the only one excited about your work. Maybe you feel like you're so excited to show your art and about what you're making or what you're doing, and you just feel like no one is as excited as you are for yourself or for your art or whatever you're doing. So how do we keep this momentum going? How do we trust the process and how do we trust ourselves? Because it can feel like we're going a bit crazy. I've certainly been in situations, and I feel like unfortunately this is a universal experience, where like it feels like no one is on your team, especially when you're used to feeling small or when you're used to, you know, having people put you down. It's so easy to fall back into this habit of making ourselves small as well when no one wants to take us seriously or respect our ideas or support us. I think firstly, it's so important to acknowledge that it's okay that you're having this wobble moment. We are only human. Wobble moments happen. It's fine, I promise. It's also okay to be pissed off. Like, it's okay to be angry about your situation. Wanting better and knowing that you deserve better shows true self-love and respect, and that's amazing. Sometimes as well, you might be feeling guilty for wanting money or acknowledgement or whatever, but it's okay to like want money, it's okay to want acknowledgement, it's okay to want support. Like, these are natural things that we all need to survive. Like, Money is not the enemy. Abundance is not the enemy. Support and communication and acknowledgement is not the enemy. And it's okay to want these things and to have these things, receive these things. Like, we need connection, we need validations. It's nice for others to view your work. It's nice to like view art and then have other people view your art, or it's nice to uplift others. And nothing is too small or too big or too silly or whatever. We also, we just need money to survive. Like, we need money to enjoy things. Money is an energy, it's a mindset, it's, it can bring in really beautiful things. Don't get me wrong, like, it can't buy happiness, but also we do kind of need it, and like it is nice to have money, and you shouldn't feel guilty for wanting money for the things that you're doing, because you are creating a service for people. I feel like as well you need to acknowledge what an amazing thing it is that you're taking steps towards a better life and how far you've come. Like, you're showing up for yourself, whatever that means to you, and that's amazing, full stop. It's also hard to recognize how far you've come when, like, materially we haven't really got that much in terms of, like, quote, physical success. We might not have the money yet, we might not have the job or the living situation yet, or the friends, the love life, the fans, the followers, whatever, right? Like, I feel like our brains are only hardwired to recognize success through material things and gain. Which, again, material things, money, whatever, like friends, they're all great and they're all amazing, and there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. I want those things too. But we also need to determine what success means to us outside of those things. And just being here now and saying that, like, I love myself and I respect myself and I want to build a good life for myself because I deserve it is a big thing for me, and that is success to me. So if you are taking steps to better your life, that's amazing. Acknowledge that too. I also just want to mention something else. I was watching a collective tarot reading by Carissa Love. Sorry if you don't like tarot or whatever, but if you are into that sort of stuff and like spiritual stuff and witchy stuff, definitely check out Carissa Love's channel. She's amazing, and she does like collective readings. She was doing like a spring collective reading, and she said something towards like working towards the future and doing things that will make your future brighter. And it just made me think, like, hey, maybe it's not happening now, but it will happen. Like, I can't tell myself when everything will fall into place. I can't tell you when things will fall into place for you. I can just tell you that it will at some point. If we're taking these steps and we truly believe in what we're doing and we have self-love, we will get there. Okay, now I'm just going to talk about simple pleasures because I think these are like the most amazing things in the world, and simple pleasures can really, really help when you're trying to stay persistent and consistent and trying to trust the process and have faith and still trying to enjoy yourself. I feel like sometimes we can get trapped in this headspace as well of like, oh, well, I can't be happy unless I achieve this thing, or, you know, I can't have fun or take a break until I achieve this thing, and that's bullshit. We need to have fun along the way. Like, life is always the journey, you know. You gotta take pit stops, you gotta go to the gas station and get like, you know, cool weird foods, and you gotta listen to music on the road and sing with your friends or by yourself. You know, you've got to stop and take little hikes, or, you know, look at the cows in the field and the beautiful animals. This is basically going to be the part of the pod where I just talk about my simple pleasures, and the first thing sounds so ridiculous and honestly makes me laugh, but this is literally what started like my whole idea for this video and the subject. It's garlic bread, okay? I love garlic bread. It's my favourite kind of bread. I love it so much. I hadn't had it in like months, and I just bought it randomly because I was like randomly craving it. I think it was like the first time I had it this year, a couple weeks ago. And I put it in the oven. I don't know, I wasn't expecting much, and I ate it, and it was like the best garlic bread I've ever had, and it literally was from like Farm Foods, whatever that place is called. You know, like the place that's really cheap and it sells a load of like frozen food. Literally was frozen garlic bread, and I cooked it, and it was the best garlic bread I've ever had, and it was so cheap, and I was like, wow. And I think enjoying food and being present to enjoy that, and as well like my little rituals of like, and my little routines, like there was a time where like I would eat my tea every night and I would watch my nightly episode of Vampire Diaries. And I know for some people they would say that that's wrong because you need to be present and enjoy your food, which is what I do now. But I think sometimes you just need to relax with a show on while you eat. I think that's perfectly okay too. And I really enjoyed that garlic bread. I really enjoyed my spaghetti, and I really enjoyed that episode of Vampire Diaries. And I feel like, again, simple pleasure, but oh my gosh, was I enjoying the heck out of that meal and that television show. And just enjoying taking care of yourself and being thankful that you can have that food or watch that show or whatever. You know, I was so thankful for that garlic bread. My other simple pleasure is flowers, particularly white flowers. I love white roses. And again, the fact that I can buy myself flowers, wow, so thankful. I was listening, this is such a side note, a random side note. I was listening to a podcast or like a video the other day, and it was talking about how white roses are such a symbol of femininity, and I looked over and looked at my vase of white roses and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, wow, I'm always drawn to white roses and I'm trying to like, you know, connect more to my femininity. That's so cool. Also as well, just like being out in nature, hearing the birds, cool, especially in spring. When the birds sing in spring, it literally sounds like a Disney film. Like, I was putting like my washing out the other day and it was so sunny, blue skies, the birds were singing and I felt like I was Snow White. It was gorgeous. Another one, I love my podcasts. I was never a podcast girly, and now in my 20s I'm listening to so many podcasts. I love them so much. I'm obsessed. Right now my newest one is Two Girls, One Ghost, and these two incredible girlies just talk about spooky stuff and mysteries and ghosts, and it's a really fun time. But another one that I love is called the Still Ugly Podcast. It's uploaded every Wednesday, and I get my iced coffee, I eat my lunch, and I watch the Still Ugly Podcast, and it is a vibe. It's like I've sat down with friends, we're just hanging out, I'm having a laugh. I feel so light and loved and joyful in that moment, and it's, again, such a simple thing. If you don't know, the Still Ugly Podcast is hosted, it's basically a rewatch podcast centered around the show Ugly Betty, and it's hosted by the two actors who played Mark and Amanda in the show. If you're not familiar with Ugly Betty, by the way, watch it. It's the most amazing show ever. It was so ahead of its time. And yeah, I love it so much. And the podcast is amazing. I forget their names, I apologise, but the hosts are just amazing. Such a vibe, so funny. And yeah, other podcasts I like, the Magnus Archives, Camp Here and There, and the Silververses. They're all like horror drama podcasts. So if you're into that, definitely check those out as well, because they are amazing. Another simple pleasure is just baking. When I was younger, I loved to bake, and I have a really big sweet tooth, so my favourite part of baking was like the actual product that I made, like the actual thing, and like eating it. Oh my god, I love that stuff. I was like, hell yeah, give me that cake, give me that cookie. Now I honestly actually prefer the process of making and baking something more than actually eating it. I still enjoy eating what I've made, but I like the process. I just feel so disconnected to like social media and the world, and just so connected to myself and my environment, and like, I don't know, making stuff with your hands just feels very grounding. I love that it's just something different to do for me, and you just see everything come together and form something really cool with these different ingredients. It's so satisfying to eat as well. I've honestly found most recently, like in the recent months, when I go to the shops and I'm craving something sweet, if I buy something from a shop, it honestly doesn't hit like how I want it to hit. If I bake something, I know that is going to taste exactly how I want it to taste, and it just is so good. If I buy something from a shop, it's a huge flop. And I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it. I'm not asking for critique or judgment. I'm away from expectations, and I just feel separate from everything. Of course, if baking's your job or you're studying it or whatever, then that's a bit different. But I feel like hobbies, sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to make something quote perfect or get it right first time. And I feel like hobbies are supposed to be fun. They're not meant to be this place where, like, you know, you're very strict and stressed and you have to make it perfect and, you know, you're getting critiqued and judged. It's like, no, baking is fun and I'm just doing it because I want to do it. And so what if my pastry's a bit overdone, or like the mousse didn't come together exactly the way it did in the recipe? Who cares? Like, still, as long as it's edible and it's safe to eat and I had a good time, who cares? You know what I mean? Nothing has to be perfect. I also love film and TV, and particularly looking at like the fashion of it as well. I really love fashion. I'm a fashion girly. I recently this year have fallen in love with 90s fashion. I actually have like a collection of 90s Vogues that I get from Vinted, and I love them with all my heart. They are my babies and my prized possessions. But yeah, anyway, I'm actually watching a lot of new things that I have not watched before, which is very different because last year I used to watch all of the same shows, like literally the same 3 shows on repeat, which is fine if you like that. But this year I've been branching out a lot, and also just enjoying a lot of old favourites that I haven't really watched in a long time as well, which again I feel like is really nice to have like a change. I love 90s shows and films. Like I said, I love the vibes and the fashion, and just appreciating the garments for being well made and built to last, and not just some trendy piece that's going to fall apart and rot for years in the earth. I love X-Files. X-Files is not a fashion show. Like, if you don't know what X-Files is, it's basically like this sci-fi horror thriller crime show, and I love it so much. It's one of my comfort shows. I recently finished it and like restarted it. I love noticing just like little bits, like Scully's hair, like her subtle blowout. I love a blowout. Or like Mulder's baggy trench, or his sunglasses, or like Scully's shoes, and like the big telephones and like big block TVs. And I don't know, there's just something about watching 90s stuff for me. Like, the energy is so peaceful and grounding. You get a sense that you're away from all of that, even though you're still consuming media. It's kind of a look into the world without social media and, quote, simpler times, I guess. And just, I don't know, you get a sense of fun and originality and character. And I recently watched a film that I love, 10 Things I Hate About You. I haven't watched that film in literally years, and I watched it the other day and I loved it so much. I literally forgot how good it was and how much I loved it, and I was so thankful for like kind of rediscovering it in a way. And I love the fashion in it as well, and just, I don't know, I'm just really enjoying fashion in at the moment without the pressure of being right or wrong about something, and just watching and appreciating and taking like notes in my head, I guess, of just stuff that I like and notice. I also just love reading a lot. Again, you just get a sense of peace and grounding and being away from my phone and just immersed in a story that doesn't have all of that stuff in it, like phones or social media, at least for the genres that I read. I love gothic and I love fantasy. It just makes me feel like the world is more magical and makes me believe in things a bit more as well. And yeah, it just gives me that sense of peace and calm. And like I said, last week I literally took myself out for coffee twice and just read for like 2-3 hours in the corner of a coffee shop, because that honestly brings me so much joy. Like, I feel such a sense of contentness when, I don't know if that's a word, I feel content, that's the point. I feel so content when I do that. Honestly, it's my favourite place, my perfect day. If you ask me what is my perfect day, I will say reading a book with a cappuccino in a coffee shop. Those are my simple pleasures and my experiences in trying to stay persistent, even if you feel like that is the one thing you don't want to do. I feel like you just need to know when to keep pushing through, and also you need to know when you need to have a little bit of a break. I feel like as well, if you're working on something and it's just not like you hit a wall or you have creative block or whatever, I think time away from that project can really help. You can come back to it refreshed and with fresh eyes, and maybe you can be like, oh my god, wait, I just need to do that, what was I thinking? This is so easy, oh my gosh. So yeah, just give yourself a rest when you need to, and acknowledge that resting and taking a step back is not giving up. It's just taking rest, because we all need to rest. I hope this made sense. I know that I yapped and rambled for a long time, but I hope this made some kind of sense. I hope this helped, and yeah, I will yap to you soon. Bye.